to Mr. UFC Vegas Fight Club TV. I am Kyle, your host. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the bet review show for UFC 226, Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic. We're going to get into the plays that we had in this card and our overall feeling on the card. What an interesting night. Some highs and some lows here on this card. We'll get into all of that here on Fight Club TV bet review show. First things first, first thing I do want to talk about, and I will get right into it before we get into the plays that we had, is the main event. I mean, what a main event. It was a lot of hype behind it, and, you know, the super fight of all super fights for the UFC, and boy, oh boy, did it really come through. I mean, I give them a lot of credit. Both of these guys obliterating their division, coming up to and stepping up to the plate, I should say, and to fight each other, a light heavyweight champ versus a heavyweight champ. And the odds were just completely swayed towards Stipe in this fight. They're anywhere from, minus 260 to 80. DC was anywhere, minus 240. To fight night, it was around minus 175, 180. Pretty crazy. The shift of odds very late, because it was really the day of, maybe the day of the weigh-ins, that the odds the money started to pour in on DC. So breaking down this fight, not much to really break down because it was a one-round fight. But the thing that everybody had talked about, myself included, was if Daniel Cormier was going to win this fight, it was going to be basically going out there, really making it a dogfight, getting in close, wrestling, getting him into the cage, really smothering Stipe, not allowing him to really extend those bombs that Stipe is able to do. And boy, did it go the other way. Going in there and seeing that, and DC talked about it literally prior to the fight. He talked about and said, listen, I'm knocking out guys in heavyweights, or knocking down, maybe I should say, heavyweights in sparring, training. He's like, I got a lot of pop, and he goes, it's really back, my power's back, and he really talked it up. And you don't know if that really is getting you to look at this and say, you know what, it's more of the fact that, I'm gonna shoot, I'm gonna wrestle with you, I'm not gonna be firing off these bombs, that I'm gonna just kind of play with you mentally and make him think that. That was more where I was even going on this too. I did believe I did believe that DC could get this victory, but this was nowhere near what I thought was gonna be happening in this fight. And early on, you did see that Stipe was landing, but just the way that Cormier moves around, and he uses his shortness to his advantage when he fights these larger opponents, where he's ducking low, almost like a Tyson-esque, where he's getting low and he's throwing up the hooks, but he's using those hooks to get in close, to shorten the range, and he just did it beautifully. And I think Stipe really was, he was looking for that knockout. I mean, he was not playing no games. Neither of these guys were. I mean, looking at it again, I really felt that there was going to be more of a strategy, more of a chess match. Maybe in that first round, I thought maybe it could be a little bit more of a bang-em going on there, but still, did not think that you would see these guys standing toe-to-toe early in the fight and going in there and throwing bombs. DC lands an enormous bomb, drops Stipe, puts Stipe away in just spectacular fashion. Now he is a two-division champion. He is the heavyweight and light heavyweight champion. A sensational fight for him. It looked like, and for such a short fight, it looked like, in the press conference, it looked like Stipe had been in a car accident, the way his face looked. I mean, for a guy that, has really been just running through this division, knocking out heavyweights, for him to be on the other side of that is pretty impressive from DC, who's a wrestler. Just a great game plan from them, thinking that they can outstrike Stipe. Unbelievable performance. So Daniel Cormier gets the victory. Will be interesting to see where Daniel Cormier is going to be going now. I know that he's going to be facing Brock Lesnar. I hope that's not his last fight. I know that he's going to be heading towards retirement soon. I really hope that's not his last fight. I'm hoping that this maybe maybe is setting up for a, if he does beat Brock Lesnar, that DC and John Jones run it back in the heavyweight division and have that fight. I'm not sure if John Jones would go up the heavyweight, but I know he always flirted with that idea, so it would be interesting. But that was that fight. The other fight, real quickly before I get into my bets, was the Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis fight. I mean, what in God's name happened in that fight? That fight was pretty ridiculous. I mean, you think that these guys, it was supposed to be, such a violent fight, two guys just clashing together, and it was possibly the least violent fight for the UFC this year. I mean, the first round, okay, everybody, and again, I was telling people in the Let's Chat discussion video that we were having last night, having conversations there, had a bunch of people over last night watching, and this one, everyone's excited about. This one's going to be, they're going to be throwing haymakers and the whole thing, and I get where the respect was coming from the beginning, and then you go into the second round, nothing. Then you got Herb Dean, the ref, going in there and saying, you guys got to start fighting, and they still didn't after that, and just, I mean, and I get where it was more Lewis was trying to, induce a little bit of action, but what the hell was Francis Ngannou doing? I mean, Francis Ngannou goes from the most feared prospect to almost not even a prospect at all, and the rise that he had from the knockout heard around the world from with Overeem was something that brought him, he was knocking out some decent guys, some decent guys that he was knocking out, but that was just like the next level. Dana White starts backing him, talking about, Francis Ngannou's power is like getting hit by a car and these whole things, and all these things are going on, and he loses to Stipe, which just looked like horrible, cardio for him and whatnot, and even Dana White talked about in the press conference after, and he talked about and said his ego got to him, where Francis Ngannou was just so, believed his hype and just believed that he was going to walk through everybody. He even came out at the press conference and said that for the Stipe fight, he really didn't train much. He didn't really full on train. He was believing he was just going to be able to just obliterate everybody and keep getting knockouts early and just keep, driving through the division and whatnot. So now he goes to this one, and I don't know if it was because he was so scared that he lost he did so bad with his cardio and just really didn't have energy management very well. But the fact that he goes in there and doesn't really even throw a punch, it just was very mind-boggling to me. I just did not see that was the way that fight was going to be going. Again, I don't think anybody really saw that fight going the distance. I know that a lot of you guys did talk about, you liked Derek Lewis in this fight. The odds were there. The odds were definitely there. So there you have it on that fight. Just a little tidbit there before we get into the plays. Just wanted to give a breakdown because the main event and co-main event were very interesting and just panned out very, very differently than many people thought. So that's that. So now we will get into our best bet play that we had. The best bet play for the year is 19 wins, 9 losses, plus 14.87 units for the year. So best bet play, we are at that 68% winner. And again, we have not been picking anything high favorites, anything over the minus 200, 220, 220 range. Always going to be a value play here. Our value play and our best bet play was on the Max Holloway versus Brian Ortega fight. We know all what happened there. There was, Max was not able to move forward. He had issues with whether it's the concussion side of things or too much water he was drinking, whatever's going on, that fight was canceled. So there was no bet. We had 2 units on the over 3.5 rounds, and it was minus 120. We did not have a play there, so the best bet sticks at 19 wins, 9 losses, plus 14.87 units for the year. We will move on to Fight Night 133, and we will have a best bet play there, so stick around. And if you have not yet done so, do not forget to subscribe to this channel, UFC and Gambling, all in one spot, so get involved. All right, so that was our best bet play. Obviously did not happen. The other 2 plays that we had Paul Felder versus Mike Perry. Now this fight was going to be one, and we talked about the prediction show that we wanted to see. There was going to be a big barrage coming from Mike Perry. The way that he fights, he's got that guerrilla instinct where he's going to be going out there and just looking to bash the guy and not really, work the combinations, not really have a game plan. And he consistently did that over his last 4 fights. Even the fights that he was winning, it was just literally going in there and throwing haymaker after haymaker, and he was landing them. So it was working. Then he started to lose, and I think this training camp, he did go to a new training camp, but I did still not believe that I was fully going to be helping him. I still think that he was just going to get in there and his instincts were going to take over, and he was going to look to just power through instead of work a strategy. But here, he did a great job. Although in the second round, we had Paul Felder on 1 unit here. In the second round, Paul Felder did bust up and break his arm or whatever he did. I didn't really get the full report on what happened today, but it sounded like he broke his arm, or at least really hurt it badly and wasn't able to use it. So whatever happened there. That's part of the fight game. Can't get upset about that. But I liked what I saw from Mike Perry. He really looked like he was piecing together a nice performance. And he did get the win, but a lot of times too, even if you get the win, maybe the performance isn't there. And I think he looked good. He actually was able to kind of work a strategy and didn't just overexert himself. And even more, when he's pushing forward, he was not just standing there and just trying to bang. He literally would work the body, come outside. Paul Felder, even that first round, I thought Paul Felder was going to use more of his elbows in tight. He loves to throw those spinning back fists, landed a couple of them, but Mike Perry, just so tough. I give him a lot of credit getting this victory. Although whatever happened with his arm, you give Mike Perry the credit. Mike Perry gets the victory there. And then the other bet we had was the over 3.5 rounds on the DC Stipe fight. Boy, did that not happen. Again, that fight to me, I like DC in this fight, but my bet was going to be the over 3.5 rounds. And to me, like I said, I really was projecting this to be more on the fact of it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a back and forth battle, and it's going to go deep. It's going to go deep. And that first 30 seconds in that fight, you could tell these guys were not looking to go deep. They were looking to take the fight right away, and honestly, that is a great part of it. I mean, that is just such a great part of that fight, was the fact that they just said, listen, let's go in the middle and let's put on a show, and somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. And you know that these guys have a ton of respect for one another, the way that they've talked about each other leading up to the fight. Even they shook hands as they were just before the fight, and had a lot of respect. So I really like seeing that. But the over did not come through. They really went out there, they slugged it out, and I'm thinking more of a, he's going to take him to the ground, it's going to be more of a scrap. Didn't think that Stipe would really look to push forward as much as he did. And I think he was going to be more worried about the takedowns, and he was not. And in general, he was looking to actually take DC down early in that fight, although DC popped back up. So that was obviously the under. That was a 1-unit bet as well. So we lost that one. But again, on our best bet play, we are 19 wins, 9 losses, plus 14.87 units. So we lost our side bets. Did not have a best bet play due to Max Holloway and Brian Ortega not having the fight. Again, it's a little bit of a pullback after the fact that I put a lot of effort into these best bets and, getting ready, place the bet, and then nothing happens. It's a little bit of a letdown. And that was a fight where I think most of us, judging from the people I talked to here at Fight Club, that was most excited about that fight. So even over the DC Stipe fight. So hopefully they get that back together. Max gets healthy, and we see what happens there. So that is it for the bet review show, and we will then have our prediction show out. That will be Wednesday or Thursday of this coming week. We'll have that out, the prediction show for Fight Night 133, Dos Santos versus Ivanov. And, we'll see. It's actually not a bad card there. It's really not a bad card. There's some decent fights in there and some higher level fighters. So I'm excited to break that fight down. We'll get that video and that podcast out to all of you next week. Let me know how you guys did, what you guys bet, what you guys were taking, your thoughts on the main event, and in general, your overall feeling on the card. And if you have not yet done so, do not forget to subscribe, like, head kick the bell icon to Fight Club TV. And this is Mr. UFC Vegas, Fight Club TV.